Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode of the show that has yet to be named. I'm here with Johnny Donuts. You want to plug yourself?
Sure, Johnny Donuts. That's my Instagram handle is Johnny Donuts 777. That's three sevens, not the word triple. YouTube channel is the same thing. I do gaming playthroughs, some reviews, and stuff like that. So, if you guys want to follow, go right ahead. Johnny Donuts three sevens after that. So,
I'll put his stuff in the bio too, so you guys can click on it.
thanks.
So we're going to be talking about WandaVision, just I guess the whole series, and just
Sounds
going
good.
over it. So you want to give your general thoughts?
The way I saw the show was it's like a hill. It went up and then quickly went down. Like it was a steep slope right at the end. So it took a couple episodes before things started actually get interesting and starting to piece together the puzzle. And then it seems like the last two episodes, they just rushed it. So it was like going up a hill and then sliding right back down. I think they could have benefited maybe from another episode, do a full 10 episodes.
I agree. Even like to be honest with you, and this is an issue I had. So there's a lot of filler.
Yeah,
I
there
would
was.
say
Sorry to interrupt, but the first two episodes were all filler.
Oh, I would say if you took the whole runtime of the show, 85% of the show is filler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of the episodes, even the really good episodes, were just a build up to a reveal. When you didn't even need to give me that build up, you could have just told me that was going to happen, and I wouldn't have needed to watch for 20 minutes. And I'm not mad. I think the show was very good.
It was well written. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it's super entertaining and fun, and it's worth the time. It's just this whole it's unnecessary. Usual Marvel narratives are like a movie, so you have 2 hours. You don't have time to waste, and I think that's now
it's
we're
right
realizing.
To the point.
Yeah, there's so much time for filler in this. Like the first two episodes are absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything they show you is just like it's not real. It's like it might be this, it might be this, and at the end it was like, well, I didn't need to know any of that.
Well, to borrow like a mystery term, it was a red herring throughout the whole series. The whole series was a red herring.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Actually, I was going to say MacGuffin, but I would have been wrong.
Right,
but yeah,
it was a red herring. A MacGuffin is something that they chase.
Yeah,
right?
They're chasing. Yeah.
So it's a red herring. Like it gives you so many plot threads to follow, and you don't know what you're following. So you're creating all these theories in your mind. And I think that's why for me, the series was disappointing because I'm not like a comic expert, but I've read my comics and like, I'm piecing together the threads of who could it be, what could be manipulating. So when the ending came out about, I was just like disappointed. Like there's so many things, simple things that they could have done with the ending that would have made a world of difference.
Yeah. I don't know. I had a few like really big issues with it. Most of them were like, so there's going to be spoilers, obviously.
Well, needless to say,
there's they completely wasted using Quicksilver. That was their opportunity to introduce the X-Men universe to us, like that maybe the multiverses are colliding or something. But that's the thing.
If this is supposed to tie into the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange, where was all my multiverse?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And he was the link to the only link to the multiverse we have in this movie. And then you're just like, nah, it's a dick joke.
Yeah, basically, his name's Boner. Like, come on, man.
Like, and I'm not used to having like that level of like fart joke in a Marvel thing.
We were literally cock blocked by him.
Yeah, and it happened, and I was like, huh? I'm like, they do silly stuff in Marvel movies, but that was like too much. Yeah. I was like, okay. And I don't know, man.
That was a bit silly, but even like, why do you need a post-credit scene too? Like the last 2 or 3 episodes, they added the post-credit scenes. You didn't need those. Those could have been integrated into the story.
Why? They did that on purpose. That's absolute pandering because they know fans want to wait until the end and get a surprise.
Yeah, it went back to, I think it was the I'm looking here on my notes here. I think it was the episode of Breaking the Fourth Wall, which was the third to last episode, where Monica Rambeau opens the cellar.
Yeah.
And she's approached by fake Pietro, if you want to call him that, Boner. But but that could have very easily been integrated as Wanda's walking through Agnes or Agatha, whatever you want to refer to as she's walking through her basement. That could have been a cutaway scene that Monica is opening the cellar and Pietro's there.
Yeah, easily.
Like,
And
it was not worth it to sit, especially with 9 minutes of credits on the show.
okay, yeah, that I get their whole thing, and they think it's funny, like it's like an in joke for Marvel to what they did there, because it's the credits for WandaVision and then the credits for actually making WandaVision show, and it's kind of like, why? I don't get it, because every day I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch a 30-minute episode, and it's not even as long as a sitcom. They were like 20 minutes, some of those episodes.
Like, I mean, if you factor in for commercials, like say like some of the sitcoms they were borrowing from, like for example, that 2000s episode, which heavily influenced by Malcolm in the Middle and The Office and stuff like that. If you factor in for commercials, episodes now are about 21 to 22 minutes, some shows, but that's why they extend sitcoms to an hour. So they can get the 35 minutes, 40 minutes.
And it's like, they weren't even hitting sitcom lengths. Like, so, like if you really break down some of those episodes, there was episodes that were like 20 minutes on the dot. And it's like, they could have done this show if you remove out all of the filler and all of the stuff that, even though we had fun with it, was completely unnecessary, because a lot of the setups are just for Easter eggs. They're not even for developing the show.
Yeah, there was about 100 ones in each episode.
And it's like, you could have made 4 episodes out of just the stuff we actually needed to know. You could have made 4 episodes. It would have been so tight, and it would have been maybe the best thing Marvel ever did.
I would say with all the filler, I get it, because they're not releasing movies throughout the whole pandemic and stuff. But if you condense this, you could have made a really good 3.5-hour film.
Oh, you could have made a great one. You could,
right? Like, you had all the characters there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I love the fact that they brought back Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo was one of the best things about Ant-Man.
I agree. I was gonna say all 3. Both of those people I really like. I really like Kat Dennings in Thor.
Oh, give me more Kat Dennings, man. 100%.
She is maybe the first 2 Thors, the only good part of both of those movies.
Yeah, Natalie Portman was wooden, especially in that first Thor. She was very wooden.
Yeah, but and it's Natalie Portman too. It's like you could have let her be good, but you gave her a script that was like, no, just stand here and be a statue. And you're like,
well, haters are going to hate on this one, but I mean, between her dialogue and Hayden Christensen in episode 3, they were the reason why that movie did not. I mean, you know what I mean?
General, like, quality wise, I mean, Thor was probably a little bit better, but writing wise, they were the prequels and the 2 Thor movies are pretty close.
Yeah, the writing, like, I mean, I get it. You have to introduce Thor. Back then, Thor was not like one of the main Marvel characters. Everybody knew the X-Men, right? Thor was a side character. Even until Favreau launched Iron Man, he was a side character as well, right? Like, most of the Avengers that they brought together, with the exception of Captain America, who's a well-known name, were characters that were on the wayside. They weren't like main name characters.
Even if you factor in the whole lineup they have now, other than like Spider-Man, the Hulk and Captain America are the only ones that achieved real fame in a comic book like form. Like, Iron Man was never a huge comic 100%. Book person. Doctor Strange was never huge. Like, he was popular, but not like the Hulk in the 70s was like huge, because you had the show.
They had the TV series with Bill Bixby there.
You had all that stuff, Lou Ferrigno, and I get it. And I was talking to somebody recently too about, like, we're going so off topic, but I'm just going with it.
That's fine.
Hey, I was talking to somebody recently too, and I was like, you know what's funny? I'm like, all the people who play their Avengers really have like a passion for that character. Like, they really love that character. They've become that character, except
100%.
The only one for me was Thor. Until Ragnarok, I felt like he didn't care about that character, and you could tell he was just playing a guy he got paid to. That's why the first 2 movies suck. But in the third one, he's like, I'm gonna be this guy. I'm the face of this guy forever. And you could feel it come out of him that he's like.
On that point too, though, you also got to credit Ragnarok with Taika Waititi.
Agreed. But maybe he helped made him believe that you're the face of this guy. Like,
because as much as I love Kenneth Branagh is a great person, great actor. He can be a good director, but I don't think he was the right fit for Thor.
No, he's not an action movie. Like,
no,
give him a train and like a murder.
Yeah, I mean, the Poirot series that he's working on now, I like those.
Which apparently the new one, which I'm very upset about, might get canceled.
I heard the cast on that looks phenomenal. And
I know,
it's
like you got to release that. I don't care if Army Hammer's eating people. Just let the movie go.
But it's this whole cancel culture thing now. Like, it's getting a little out of hand.
I mean, it's out of hand for the wrong things.
Yeah, it is.
And the things that they should be canceling, they're not, which is like the most effed up thing. Anyways, yeah.
It's both off topic, but yeah,
Yeah.
going back to what we're saying about like I find it was the side characters, the Kat Dennings, the actor who plays, I think it's Randall Park who plays Jimmy Woo. They were the characters that I feel made the show.
Yeah, 100%. Even Rambeau was all right.
Yeah.
I liked her.
I like the fact that they introduced her. They introduced her powers without like going overboard with it. Like we knew that was coming, so it's like, here it is.
I really liked oh my god, why am I forgetting his name? The guy who played Pietro.
Oh, Evan Peters.
Evan Peters. You know what? He was great. I don't like what they did with the character, but him in that role was great. I really liked Catherine Hahn.
Yes, Catherine Hahn was phenomenal. She
great. Was so good, and he made me like a character that I could care less about.
Yeah, because she's a very, very minor character in, like, I mean, she's a minor character. She is also a character that helps Wanda develop her magic in the comics as Agatha Harkness, but she was more of the villain in this series, which I liked. She played it very well.
Yeah, she does such a good job. And you know what? Okay, I really liked Vision, but for some reason, since Vision was introduced, I've just always liked Vision.
Right.
I think Elizabeth Olsen did a good job, but people are so overhyping what she did.
Yeah, I think it's also the fact that she overhyped when the series started. She overhyped the fact that there's going to be something that's on the groundbreaking level, as if you haven't watched The Mandalorian, the Luke Skywalker appearance.
Yeah.
She was hyping that throughout the whole series, and I never got that level of excitement, the quote-unquote internet-breaking scene.
Yeah, 100%. And the worst part is that they both were teasing things that was, and like he even admitted after he was sorry because
he said he was trolling everybody.
Yeah, and like I don't know, but
because my hope, like this is just like fantasy booking, but to quote a wrestling term there, but my fantasy booking was for him to come was for the Vision, was for Magneto to show up and start into that House of M. Like I would have loved to see Michael Fassbender come in and bring his kids back together and try to fix Wanda's mind like they did in the House of M.
I would have even took a deathbed Patrick Stewart who wanted to just say, I mean, not Patrick Stewart, sorry. Oh my God. Ian McKellen. Okay. Come back and be like, I'm sorry that I was never there for you. I'm your father, and like this and that, and then that's how it ends.
Yeah.
Or something. Or like that's the end of his thing. Like or he's not there.
But even if you wanted to incorporate the whole Doctor Strange thing, Doctor Strange could have plucked him out of the other universe.
Yeah. So, but this is the thing. You could have. This is actually a good idea. I just thought of this. You could have took Ian McKellen, did the thing I said, but then you could have made it so now she wants to find her father, and then she finds Fassbender.
Exactly, because
the young version, and now she brings him to the universe, and it starts this whole thing.
Exactly, like the thing about they mentioned this in the series was the fact that the witch is a Nexus being.
Yeah.
So a Nexus being is the same in any reality that there is, right? Yeah. So it's Elizabeth Olsen, whether you put her in the MCU series or the Fox series, it's Elizabeth Olsen because she's a Nexus being.
So is Doctor Strange also a Nexus being?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
And so is Charles Xavier, Jean Grey. So any one of those characters could have worked.
Yeah,
if you wanted to introduce mutants into the series, because clearly they're making the fact they're pointing to the fact that Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, is a mutant.
Yeah,
it's a mutant gene that's helping her develop these witch powers.
And the messed up part of what I think they did was, you spent so much time fleshing out. Like I'm okay with them leaving Vision dead.
Yeah.
Because I think it's not to go the comic book route where everyone comes back to life, but he had such a fantastic arc of discovery in that movie. Like in that show, he carried his storyline to me, carried that show. And
the non-human was the most human character in the whole thing.
And then you killed him off, which is like, I'm okay with it. But at the same time, it's like, why did you spend so much time developing this? And then also the kids. You spent so much time developing them and making everyone believe that now we're going to get young Avengers or like whatever.
Yeah, with Speed and Wiccan.
And then you're like, no, it's cool. They're dead.
But spoiler again for the finale, you hear their voices when she's reading the Darkhold.
That is true. So
you do hear their voices. So maybe that's that might lead to the multiverse.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like if you're familiar with the comics too, if you've read the West Coast Avengers and all that, the kids are Mephisto's, they're parts of his soul.
Yeah.
So the whole season the whole series, they were teasing the fact that the devil is this, the devil's inside. When Pietro yells out demon spawn, I was honestly thinking we were going to get Mephisto at the end of this.
But knowing Marvel, they never unintentionally do things.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming a lot of these things are going to pop up somewhere, but
and probably in Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I think Doctor Strange is going to hold all the cards here. This is just a setup for that movie. And it's funny because a lot of people I know who didn't even watch the show or want to watch the show found out that it leads right into Doctor Strange, and now they're all like, "Oh, do I have to watch this? Like, I don't want to watch this." And I'm like, honestly, it's a fun watch.
Yeah,
and it's not long. Like, you could easily binge this in a day.
It's
like 4 hours.
Yeah. It's 4 hours exactly. It could have benefited as a 3.5 hour film.
Yeah, I would have even cut it to like 2.5 hours.
Right, make it a Disney Plus special. Right.
Yeah, the first episodes are fun because it's like this 50s, 60s, 70s, and the 80s. Well, they kind of skipped the 80s. Like, they kind of did 80s and 90s in one episode.
It was very much like a Full House influenced, which is a nod to her sisters, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, which I thought was cool. But then you kind of skip. But anyways, I like that stuff. But realistically, we didn't need any of it.
No, because we got that juxtaposition in about episode 6 when she's back in Sokovia watching all those DVDs with her parents, right? So we understand why they went to those sitcoms. She was trying to create that perfect reality for herself. For people who don't know, she's probably Scarlet Witch is one of the most powerful characters in the MCU. That's why they had to cut her out of Avengers Endgame, is because she could have destroyed Thanos easily.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because, well, she could have even beat Thanos with the gauntlet.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but like without it, there's a lot of people. Like Thor could have killed him with the gauntlet too, but Thor's an idiot.
Yeah. But it reminds me of that comic. It was back in the 80s. There was a comic. It's like they show Thanos, like in the movies, he's like this all-powerful being that can't be stopped. And I remember this one panel from a Spider-Man comic in the 80s where Thanos is being arrested by the NYPD.
How do I never? I'm gonna go find that picture and post.
Go find that
right
image.
Out there. Oh
my God. That should be the title card.
I literally want to do that. Okay, that's amazing. But yeah, there's. I mean, they did a lot of stuff right here, especially in terms of like not being faithful to the comic books, but being true to comic books in general. Like, it feels very comic.
It felt like a comic book story, 100%.
And I really like that.
It's like you do get your comic books if you're reading through a series of, say, you're reading through a Wolverine series or whatever, you're going to get that one issue that's a nothing issue. Wolverine's is on a self-discovery issue. You know what I mean? Like,
and it was like,
it was great storytelling.
I want to break it down more, but like, I don't want to go too much into it. Like, the first couple episodes, you're like, okay, this is fun, but like, where's this going? And then you get a bunch of reveals. And then the next episode, it's like, okay, yeah. And then the next episode is like, nah, forget it. Forget everything. We're just going to do something else.
It wasn't until episode 3 or 4 until they finally revealed that this was a hex. It's not real.
Yeah, it was like the very end of episode 3. Yeah. And then episode 4 was amazing. I'm pretty sure that's the one where it was just about Jimmy, Kat, and
Haywood.
Yeah.
The sword agent. Like, I love the fact they introduced sword, agents of sword.
Yeah, they spelt it wrong. I mean, they did the acronym is incorrect.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense for the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Or at least for the movie universe.
Yeah, for the movie universe. So I don't know. That ending was very lackluster. So let's focus on that. Instead of her in the
cabin, my ending, like that final scene where she's in like the Evil Dead cabin there or whatever it was, it could have very easily, she's in the streets of New York, she looks up and sees the Sanctum Sanctorum. That's all it would have taken. Like, don't even bring Cumberbatch in. Just show the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah, you could have did it so you had her going back to find Avengers Tower or something, and while she's walking in New York, she sees that, and it's like, and like,
because they did that in what was it? I forgot what movie it was where Thor is sitting with Doctor Strange and he's drinking the beer. It was the end credits. I forgot what movie it was. The end credits too. Remember, he's sitting with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I don't think, was it Ragnarok?
No, I think it may have been Iron Man 3. I can't remember. They're gonna.
I know
hate me for
exactly.
this.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're
like
talking
even
about.
just a little stinger like that, where Wanda's talking to Strange, like, help me harness my powers.
Or you could have made his voice at the end too, even when she's in the
without
cabin.
bringing him in. Yeah.
And it's like, you know what's funny? Because Sam Raimi's doing Multiverse of Madness, right?
It's funny that I brought up the Evil Dead reference.
What if that really is the Evil Dead cabin that they use?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, that would be a cool Easter egg. I never even thought of that.
Yeah. Because it definitely looked like the with the Darkhold and the Necronomicon. You see the similarities there,
and it's weird too. A thing a lot of people are pointing out is that if you watch Doctor Strange, you can see that a book is missing on the shelf.
Yes,
and it's that book. Apparently.
Right, that's the speculation going on. But she's also doing what Strange did with the out of body when she's reading the Darkhold in the room at the end.
Yeah,
right. She's sitting in the other room drinking a cup of tea. So it's very similar to what Doctor Strange did in the first film, where he's sleeping, but his projection is astral projection. That's what it's called. His astral projection is studying. Right. That's how he became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people told me at work, they're like, "Oh, the one outside that comes inside and drinks is the one that's the projection, and the other one is the real one sitting in the room." And I'm like, no, I'm like, it's the other way around.
It's like, the projection is the one reading in the room.
And I don't know. I honestly, for me, the last episode is like, except for the Vision stuff is so good when he's talking to him and he's talking about the boat and they're like,
yes, the boat of Theseus.
Yeah. And it was just, that was so well written. And then, meanwhile, outside, Wanda's having like a stupid baddie, like a fight
Banter.
that like, we've seen that fight in every comic book thing ever. And it was like just a big CGI whack around.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the Vision stopped fighting and they were like,
it was like, you know what it reminded me of, especially when they were like, when Wanda and Harkness were like doing it reminded me of like Dragon Ball.
That's what I was thinking. And
it was a very Dragon Ball fight, like Goku and Frieza kind of thing.
I went back and I watched a few clips because something happened at the end that I noticed right away. And I was like, it's such a Marvel thing to do. Okay, so they have these like audio cues. So when she was fighting Agatha and Agatha's sucking the life out of her or whatever, she's throwing the energy at her, you can hear the music change all suddenly. And it's like, that's the noise of, okay, bro, it's Marvel time. And I was like, oh, Doctor Strange or someone's going to come and save her. But then she showed the runes and she won.
Yeah, the music at the end when she's in the room astral projecting herself, that's a Doctor Strange theme, just a little slowed down in a minor key.
But in that fight scene, it was like she was losing. You're thinking, oh, she's going to die. But then the music cue changed too early. And it was like, okay, everything's going to be fine. Because it will turn into like the Avengers music where it's like, yeah, everything's
the exact same thing happened in Endgame where Thanos does the snap and then Tony Stark has the gauntlet and he snaps.
Yeah.
Like it was that whole sleight of hand thing, right? Magic and sleight of hand played a big part in this series.
Yeah. And as well put together as the show is, the movie critic in me can't help but point out like every little, like it's so poorly paced.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest thing for me. Like I wouldn't say this is bad. I really liked it as a comic book fan. And I think Marvel fans, there's no way you won't like this.
No, it's a fun ride. For like 4 hours, it's a great ride.
As a movie critic, I felt like there's so much improvement here. And a lot of people are like overlooking that and giving it like crazy 10 out of 10 ratings. And I'm like, you're crazy. This is like an 8.
7.5 to an 8. Yeah.
It was a fine thing. They needed to trim out a lot. And I don't like the red herrings. It's not just one. There were multiple. There's like 17.
Yeah, there were too many of them.
At what point?
And it led to nothing.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have to wait a week to watch a show that's only 18 minutes long with 35 minutes of credits and nothing happens in that episode that you lined up for me.
100%. I agree.
It's disappointing. And a lot of people were very quick to point out all the flaws. And I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but everyone was huge to point out all the flaws of The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian writing wise and like character wise is way better than this show.
Oh, 100%. Like Filoni and Favreau 100% know what they're doing. Filoni on The Mandalorian, he's lived Star Wars for the last 10 years of his life.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's done Rebels and Clone Wars, which are arguably the best Star Wars things in the last 15, 20 years.
I mean, you made the right choice by attaching the guy to it who actually makes good Star Wars movies, like
right.
Or Star Wars content, because
right? But I mean, yeah, I get it. You threw in Ahsoka Tano for fan service.
Yeah, and I'm okay with the fan service there, and the fan service in WandaVision are fine.
It's not your face in Mandalorian, though.
Yes, and Mandalorian, the filler episodes are still a personal journey he goes on. The filler episodes in WandaVision were like a bad comedy where I wasn't laughing for the whole time, even though I wasn't bad.
The journey in WandaVision is Wanda going through the levels of grief, right? Exactly. Anger, denial, everything. Like towards the end, she finally accepts it. You know what I mean? That Vision's gone. So it's her journey through grief.
And it just,
episode is a stage of grief.
Exactly. And that's the kind of stuff that I like about it. It's the forced comedy and the like, no one finds 1950s humor funny. Like, I enjoyed the cuteness of that episode, whatever you want to call it. I like the throwback to it, but like none of it was funny. I was not sitting there laughing. I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was very, I guess because we're so used to comedy nowadays, comedies in the 50s and 60s were very tame.
I mean, there's stuff from that era, 60s, 70s, 50s, where it's favorites. Maybe I grew up with it with my dad or something, where I can enjoy that. But I'm not just going to go watch any show that comes on from 1950 and find it funny, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, as great as, say, for example, like Dick Van Dyke was, to me, that's not my style of comedy.
Yeah, it felt extremely Bewitched, which I do like, which I kind of didn't like the way they handled it because it was too much of a mashup. But I really would have liked an 80s and a 90s episode. If you're
they
going to
go all the way, done something in the late 80s, early 90s. Like,
if you're going to go all the way, go all the way.
Missed opportunity there. And because they jumped right into like the 2000s, and it's like, well, but they kind of backpedaled when they went to the Halloween episode. That was more of a late 90s. Like, that was
I never thought of that.
Right? Because they went to like the early 2000s with the whole Malcolm in the Middle thing, but the costume, the way Vision's costume and Wanda's costume, that's very late 80s, early 90s, what they were wearing on Halloween.
That episode is super 90s. Or like you could toss both of those two episodes back and forth, but I never thought of that realistically.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. I thought of those Disney movies back from the 90s. Remember? I don't know if you remember the Halloween Town movies.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it gave me that vibe of it, almost like a Hocus Pocus or something like that.
When I think about it, like, there's 90s sitcoms that would have worked, but most of those are carryovers from the 80s, Full House, Family Matters, like that kind of stuff. Perfect. Where the actual Cosby Show, whatever, the actual 90s sitcoms were like Seinfeld and Friends, and like Friends. You couldn't have done that with a family aspect.
Yeah, there were no family sitcoms.
Yeah, not to that
Step by Step really is the only one I can think of that was 90s.
I mean, you could have parodied Sabrina in some way just as like a joke.
Bring in a black cat or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That would have been hilarious, actually.
Well, Harkness is supposed to have a black cat.
Yeah.
Right? In the comics, Harkness, her familiar is a black cat that can transform.
I can't say enough of how good she was in this show.
Yeah. Like, she's one of the major factors why the show was so enjoyable. She was able to play a full spectrum of characters. Yeah. From the villain to like the nosy neighbor to like the goofball kind of thing.
And when she turned her back at the end, I mean, they kind of pushed it too hard. They went slick. She had like 80 catchphrases in like 2 seconds, but I liked that. Like the way that she snapped from being like the evil witch to like just the neighbor next door was like so good.
But how does that work now? Because Witch took down the Hex.
Yeah.
See, so that's one thing that is left open-ended. The fact that the bleached Vision, the white Vision, he's still out there somewhere too.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's a good point. What the hell happened?
My thought was they were going to fuse.
Yeah, so we thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And I thought the Vision that was with her at the end is the fused one. So there's a Vision on the loose right now with no gems, with no stone in his head, Mind Stone. And he has all the memories from the Avengers and stuff.
Because it says at the end, Wanda created him from the fragments of the Mind Stone that it's in her, right? So she created Vision from the Mind Stone. That's why when you see she creates him, it went from red to yellow, the color of the Mind Stone, right? So what I think Vision may have just downloaded his memories, a little boop on the head there, and
Oh, maybe he's gonna like watch out for her, and he's just gonna follow her around or something.
But the way they were like, they were transmorphing into each other when they were punching, and then they would phase shift and phase shift. I honestly thought that after the whole shift of Theseus, sorry, I thought they were going to fuse and become the true Vision.
Yeah, I don't know. I had there's a lot of weird things that happened that you could do.
That's one of the main things I found that was left open ended was the whole Vision thing.
So, what do you think about the ending with Rambeau? I don't know what her first name is.
Monica.
Okay.
Monica Rambeau.
I know the first one is Maria.
Yeah. Maria's her mom. She's Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
Yes. That's going to lead into Captain Marvel too.
That's what I thought, because my thoughts are they've been Tessa Thompson and Brie Larson. Shame. They've been teasing that they're working together on something, and my theory is that I don't know if you read it, but like to me, the only run that I care about of Captain Marvel was in the Marvel Now when they did the first reboot, and she built a team like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
She went around picking the people, and then Valkyrie would be perfect. Rambeau would be perfect because now she has those powers.
There's also, sorry to interrupt, but there's also a story they could tell too, because right now, Rambeau has some animosity towards Carol Danvers because she wasn't there to help her mother.
No, and apparently she's the reason that she got that, like her
exposure
her radiation. Yeah.
It was just enhanced by Wanda's power.
Yeah,
and came into fruition. So I agree. There's a great story to be told there. Say what you will about Brie Larson. I'm not her biggest fan.
I hate her, but I mean, I don't like her for any reasons except that she's such an overrated actress. I don't care about the things that she said.
No, yeah, she's not that good of an actress.
She was completely dead in Captain Marvel. That movie's absolutely carried by Samuel L. Jackson and the girl who plays Maria Rambeau. Like they're so good in that movie.
And and the Skrulls.
Yeah, and the Skrulls. That guy, Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn, exactly. He was fantastic in that film.
Yeah. I mean, so the Skrulls reveal at the end.
Yeah.
It's definitely going into Captain Marvel 2. I agree.
100%. So, and like I said, there's a good story to tell. But I mean, that's the reason why also they cut much of Brie Larson's stuff out of Avengers Endgame.
Oh, yeah. Apparently there was a lot of her in it.
Yeah, they cut most of it out.
Yeah, which good on them. I mean, it's not even that she's bad for the character. It's just like, but apparently there's a lot of rumors that a lot of the other actors don't like her.
Yeah, you do see in some interviews, like there's one, go look it up. There's one of Don Cheadle and her,
I seen that.
Right? It's like, and he's just taking pot shots at her, and she's like oblivious as to what's going on.
Yeah. There's one with her, Mark Ruffalo. And Thor.
Yes,
and they're both they're like, we've had enough of you. Like just stop. Like everything she says is like something that like men are bad, and they're like, well, we're not even talking about that. Like,
just talk about comics, right?
Like, the person here's like from a geek fucking YouTube channel trying to talk to you about comics, and you're just going off about some random
on
stuff.
Her political agenda.
Yeah, like I don't know, but. I mean,
off topic, but I think that's it's either gonna have something to do with Captain Marvel 2. I could see maybe throwing in Love and Thunder. Yeah, because from the way they're going with the Skrulls, I have a feeling they're gonna introduce Kang the Conqueror.
That's what a lot of people are saying. And I feel like the Skrulls are gonna keep popping up, so they're definitely gonna pop up in Thor Ragnarok, where I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a Captain Marvel cameo.
Yep. And they're probably going to pop up in Guardians 3.
Yeah, because Thor is also going to be in Guardians 3, so I could see that. And I see the trend here where it's going to happen, because definitely in Spider-Man they're going to show up, because they already showed up in Spider-Man.
Yes. Now, you think Spider-Man is going into the multiverse as well?
Not yet. Oh, in this movie?
The third
I thought
one.
you meant like generally in... No, I think that Spider-Verse is happening. This is... But I feel like it's going to come to him. I don't feel like, and this is how they're going to discover it, I guess. Like,
right. This way you can see a Spider-Man, but still have Peter Parker walking the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that.
And I feel like something like that's going to happen, because I really like that idea. I mean, it's a little bit soon after Spider-Verse, which is, to me, the best Spider-Man movie.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, it was fantastic, that one.
It's a little bit soon, but like, I liked it so much that like, I'm not against it happening. And like the way, even if you played the new game, the Miles Morales game, the
Yeah.
way that Peter and Miles are together is kind of cool. And I would like to see him with another Spider-Man in.
Well, they introduced Miles' uncle already. He was played by Donald Glover in the, in, I think it was Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, who should have played Miles Morales when he was a little bit younger.
Right, but eventually, if Donald Glover, I could totally see him coming in because Miles' uncle is the Prowler.
Yeah.
So I could totally see that happening.
And those kind of villains work in the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah.
A lot of the other characters can't have these. Spider-Man, okay, yeah, he has like a lot of superpowers and stuff, but he's like the Batman of Marvel. Because you can have normal villains with him, like just people in suits. Like you can't have that with anybody else, really.
There's street level superheroes, and then there's the upper echelon, like your Avengers, your X-Men. Those are your top level giant threat superheroes. But then you have your street level heroes, Punisher, Daredevil, Spider-Man. These are you can even bring back Elektra, but like these are your street level heroes. So I can also see, like, because there's talks about Charlie Cox even showing up now.
Yeah. Like, okay, right now, what I would kill for, and like I know they filmed it, but is for the Hawkeye series to be about the Matt Fraction run in where he's like owns a building and the Russian mafia keeps bothering him. And Kate Bishop keeps trying to come in to give him money because she's rich. And like he keeps saying, no, I don't want to like train you and stuff. And like that run is one of my favorite runs ever in comic book history.
It was so a great run. It actually gave some depth to Hawkeye.
Yeah, it made him such a real character in Marvel where usually he gets just brushed to the side. I mean, like he's really cool in Old Man Logan and that run there, but
that was a good run as well. But in House of M, he doesn't exist though.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see where they go with everything.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for what it was. It's a mini series. It's a one and done. They're not doing a second season.
I think outside of like the Hawkeyes, like the human stuff.
Yeah,
the guys that you can use as like cop/detective type shows like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they're on like CIA.
It's a buddy comedy.
Yeah, where they're on a hunt to get some kind of intel or something. Like you could do multiple seasons of that. WandaVision, those types of shows don't need more than one season.
No, that's a one and done. See, that's what I'm interested in, because in a couple, now that Wanda's done, they're gonna lead right into Falcon and Winter Soldier. What's that gonna lead into? Is that just like a buddy? I'm curious as to what they're going to do with that.
That's good, because Zemo's in that.
Right, they're bringing Zemo back, and but what is it? It's like, because Zemo was the one that had Wanda and Pietro locked up in the cages in Civil War. Was it Civil War or was it Age of Ultron? Age of Ultron.
Ultron.
It was Zemo.
Yeah. Okay. You know what's funny? Just as an off topic, but I one day after WandaVision, I was so craving more WandaVision because I'm like, I hate that I have to wait a week to watch this. But so I watched Age of Ultron. She's so bad in it. Oh my God.
Her journey as the character is 100% better.
Yeah. And it's like they didn't even let her act in that movie. They're like, say the one word and then move out of the way of the camera. And she's like, hello.
What I find is the fake accent they forced on her in that movie.
Yeah, but I like how they brought it back now because people were giving them shit about how it kept slowly disappearing over time.
Well, you're playing a character on a TV show, so your accent's not there, because when you saw that she left the Hex for the first time, when she threw the drone at Hayward there, her accent was there. Yeah,
but I also said that because in Infinity War, it's completely gone.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what it could be? Like, she's magic. She could just take away her accent, right? Like, why can't she do that? Like, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow doesn't sound like a Russian girl.
No, where she did in Iron Man 2 a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that, but I like how they reference back to it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there were a lot of similarities. Like, the whole trick with the mind that she did on Agnes or Agatha there was the same one she pulled on Tony Stark.
Yeah.
When he saw that vision of the future.
Yeah, like the nightmares.
The whole car thing was the same thing, what she did to Tony Stark. Like, there were a lot of similarities that they referenced, but like you said, I think this was just, those were just fan service thrown in there, a couple Easter eggs here and there.
Yeah, and I don't know. Overall, I just think it's a watchable show for anybody. If you want to watch it, watch it.
It's well written.
I don't really
If
have
you're
anything else. If you have anything,
No, it like I said, it was someone who's for me, like I'm pretty well versed in the whole House of M, Avengers disassembled there. It felt like they were going in that direction, and then they pull a 180 on you and basically pull the rug out from under you. That's what it felt like to me.
yeah.
But then again, you also got to come into it. If you're coming into it with open eyes that you've never read a Marvel comic before, it's a great watch. It's a well-written show. It's a fun romp, 4.5 hours. You know, you can do it in an afternoon. It's fantastic for what it is.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
So no, you go.
Yeah. So for me, like, I think that's why I found it was disappointing. It was leading to all these things, and my mind is racing as to what's going to happen. And it's like, oh, they could do this. Oh my God, they could do that. And it's like, when you get none of it at the end of it, it's like that sad trombone you hear, the wah wah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's like, great, thanks.
Well, you know, there's some little things they could have fixed here and there. That's my biggest thing. A lot of people just, if you like it, you like it, but like don't give it too much credit.
No, like, I mean, for writing wise, fun afternoon of watch. If you want to binge watch it, go right ahead. It's a great fun watch. If you're going to go watch Doctor Strange, watch it in an afternoon and then go see Doctor Strange. You'll get a better feeling for the movie. But they could have, my thought, like on closing point here, is they could have integrated it a little bit better.
Agreed. I'll say my last thing is, this show works best in a consecutive watch. If you space it out, it's not going to work for you, because you're going to keep coming back expecting something great to happen and it won't happen. So I think it connects better if you just watch it all at once and you get the whole thing out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch it like I said, it's 9 episodes, 20 minutes each. You can watch it in an afternoon.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll leave his stuff in the bio. You can click it and go subscribe to him. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem.